Welcome to the weekly Q&A with Dr. Gray. During this show, Dr. Gray will take questions from the audience and answer them for you. Please share this out with all of your friends and family across all social media platforms. And now, let's welcome Dr. Gray.
And welcome everybody. And today we're going to be talking about creating lasting romance in your relationships, lasting attraction. This is always a question that comes up from people. And this is today's session of questions and answers. And that's one that I've gotten a lot this week. And last week we talked about the importance of not over depending on your partner. And one simple awareness that we got last week was whenever you're unhappy with your partner, to a great extent, you're over depending on them. When you over depend on a man, what happens is he gets the message that he's not giving you enough. And when a man gets the message that he's not giving you enough, then unbeknownst to women, if he gets the message he's not getting enough, it knocks down his motivation. He's already doing everything he can in his mind. Now, certainly he can do a lot more, and certainly change is better in relationships, but you have to have finesse in how to create getting more in a relationship. Men will tend to level off. They'll tend to put a lot of energy, effort going first, and then they'll kind of like retire. It's a common phenomena of men work hard their whole lives and then they retire. This is sort of the nature of men. You climb the mountain and then you have lunch and you relax. You achieve the relationship. You provide what you can provide. A woman is happy. That's why she accepts you into her life. And it's enough. And then what happens is, unfortunately, he doesn't continue climbing more mountains with you, nor does he really have to when he understands, when you let him know what women need, which is they don't need a lot more. They need a lot of little things continuously. And men don't realize that. If a man doesn't realize that, you might think, oh, it's hopeless. Men don't know. No, you can always ask. You can explain. You can let him know. These are the themes that I cover in my new book, which is Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, for women only. Now, of course, in my talks, these are talks for everybody, men and women, but it's always coming from the point of view of the power that women have to bring out the best in their partners. Women have a tendency when they don't understand men to think, oh, I'm not getting what I need, and it's his problem. And yeah, it is his problem, but it's also your problem, and you have the power to change it. That's the whole thing. It's a delicate message in this book because you could easily go, well, he's saying it's all up to me. Well, isn't that what being an adult is? It's all up to us. In business, we don't question that. It's your efforts, it's your learning, it's your marketing and how you put yourself out there, what product you provide, all those things is what creates success. And although relationships are different than the work world, for sure, but that's a basic principle of life, is that we are accountable, that we can create our reality. So many people are talking about, how to create your reality. A big part of that is certainly feeling as though you're already getting what you want. That's very, very important. And nowhere is it more noticeable than in relationships. If you're feeling like you're getting the love and support from your partner, you create a space for him to make you happier. So that was the theme we talked about in our last talk, which is the very first quote on chapter 1 of this book, which is whenever you're suffering in a relationship, you're depending too much on your partner. So what does that mean? Does that mean don't depend on them at all? No, it means depend on yourself, loving yourself, having friends, having support, all these other areas of your life that made you happy before your partner. You have to continue relying on that. Now, what happens, you see this a lot in teenage girls, I hear, is that teenage girls, when they get with a boyfriend, they just turn off to all their other girlfriends. It's like he absorbs their life. Well, if you have a romantic relationship with a man, it's very easy to just have that occupy your mind because biologically, the hormone oxytocin goes up the highest when you make love with a man. So suddenly you're attached to him. Oxytocin is an attachment hormone. He becomes a part of you and you depend on that part of you, just like I depend on my arms or my legs to walk. Suddenly you depend on him as a source of security, a source of happiness, a source of fulfillment in your life. Ava, thanks for joining from the Netherlands. So when we have relationships with men. Drax, thanks for joining me. Thanks for sharing this with other people. Afternoon, everyone, he says. And I appreciate everybody coming in and letting me know where you're coming from. That's really, really wonderful. This is our question and answer session. And if people have questions, they can ask me those questions. I generally always have a theme I can talk about. And part of the theme here is a buildup of last week's theme, which we did last Thursday, which is the theme of this book, Be Happy With or Without a Man. When you can be happy without a man, then it makes it easier for him to be successful in being there for you. Gigi, thanks for joining us. And when you're with him and you're happy and he makes you happier, that feels great. But then it's very easy to be overly dependent on him. And then you have less support from outside. So you have to maintain this balance of independent happiness and dependent happiness if you want to maintain attraction in the relationship. Because if you're not happy, if you're giving messages that he's not enough, complaining, etc., we talked all about that, then are not just being happy with him, not delighting in his presence. That's one of my favorite definitions of a good relationship, is when you see your partner, you delight in their presence without any agenda to change them. And there's one place where this is so clear is when you have friends. When you have friends, you're not trying to change them. You don't feel responsible for them. But when you get in a relationship, our survival, our security, our happiness depends greatly on them. So it's easy to become overly dependent. So here's a question. I got your new book on Kindle as well. Thank you. I'm a single woman. Look forward to reading it. With love from Yonkers, New York. Great. And so what I'm doing now is we're doing little commentaries on parts of the book. It's fun to hear it from the source, but the book does it in a much more organized way. I have to say, it's been a lot of hours editing, making everything one thing after another. But you get in these videos is the source, and you get to connect with the frequency of what created that book. Anna says, what does a man expect from us women in the final stages of relationship, marriage? John, can you describe the ideal wife for a man? Okay, well, I'm going to do that in the context of what we're talking about here. So we can hold off questions for a moment. I'll answer this question. What a man wants from his wife, is much less than what a woman wants from a man. Women tend to always want to improve things. That's one of the ideas in Men Are From Mars is a slight annoyance in men is that women they're like the home improvement committee, your house. They always want to make it better and beautiful. And that's why you have a home. When men build a house, women make a home, and they're always looking to make things better. It's a nurturing quality. Men are there to sort of, our mindset is more like fix it. If it's not broken, just leave it alone. So men like to experience that newness of relationship, her love and his support. He's established himself. All right, let's not change anything. And of course, women are like changing outfits. They want it to be better and new and different. And let's not just get into just a routine. So what makes a marriage great and what allows the attraction to be there is the question is a great one. What does a man expect for us in the final stage of a relationship? Well, I don't know what it means to be the final stage of a relationship, but I think it's just in a relationship. Marriage, I see now, is the final stage of a relationship. What it is, it's a wife who's happy because she's happy in her life. She depends on him to be happier, but she's not happy without depending on him. Okay, there's a place of it's like if you're too independent, the passion will go away. If you're too dependent, the passion will go away. You want to create a space where he can make you happier, but when he's not making you happier, you're happy. And that's your own life. What do you do during the day that you enjoy doing and that you have friends, you have work, you have children, you have hobbies, you have activities, you have groups that you're part of, movements you're part of, maybe a spiritual group that you're part of. All of those things nourish the soul, just like vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin D, you have to have all the vitamins to be a healthy person, for example, from nutritional support. Same thing in relationships. And when you have a lot of love for a man, it's easy to become too dependent on him and less dependent on these other things to make you happy. And that will put a pressure on a man. So here from the male perspective, you're going along, you have a happy wife, and life is good, and and she's relatively happy too. But life is not a stream of just happiness all the time, and particularly for women, there's an emotional up and down. There's an emotional up and down. That emotional up and down really shows up when you're still cycling your hormones. So when you're cycling your hormones, you have your period, and basically at that time, it's not like you're going to be elated by your husband. Okay, that bonding is not a major hormone at that time. Security and safety is very important, but it's not ecstatic. And then what happens is after your period, you're not going to start rising up in estrogen, and your life is really the main source of your happiness. But as you get to about 4 days before your ovulation time, that's where your body needs to make more estrogen. That's when you need to feel I have more support in my life, because when you have support in your life, your estrogen goes higher. That's when you're looking around. Okay, what support do I have to make sure that I have help to create a home, to raise a child? Even if you don't want to create a home or raise a child or be responsible for some other little being that create joy to your life, but that's not where you're at in your life. But biologically, your body's designed to get pregnant. So at that time, there's a natural tendency to eat more, which is because your body has to fatten up a little bit in order to fuel the pregnancy and so forth. So the estrogen levels are naturally rising. Estrogen is associated with an awareness of what do I have? What do I need? What do I want to give me what I have? And if you don't yet, prior 5 days before that, it would be like everything's fine to a certain extent. And then boom, it just hits. It hits like sudden awareness. Like he's not giving me enough time and attention. He's not being enough affection. We don't have enough money. I don't have enough support in my life. I'm feeling lonely, or I'm feeling dissatisfied. At that time of where you feel I'm missing, also any suppressed emotions that have been going on in your life will tend to show up as well. Your mind will start to think, yes, 6 days ago, he said that thing to me. So it's not a good time unless during that time you're getting extra support. And generally speaking, for women, the way they communicate, I want extra support, is they unconsciously become unhappy. Unconscious. If you're unhappy, somebody says, hey, what's the matter? Let me help you. Let me give to you. And that unhappiness shows up as, let's just make an example here. Let's say you're in a restaurant and you're not getting your order in time. You want to say, hey, I'm waiting too long. Or if you want, the food isn't good, you have to express, this food isn't good. It makes me not unhappy. I would like something better. So one of the ways we can get more, and that's what we need at that time towards ovulation, is I need more. This is a feeling of not enough comes up. So one of the unconscious tendencies to communicate to your partner, I want more, is to be unhappy. So it just sort of overtakes you. Have you ever had days where you're just not so happy? And this also is true for men. It's just that for men, it's more steady. For women, it's a lot of up and down, and more emotion. And we know that biologically. We can see the brain activity, the emotional part of the brain. Women start to ruminate. They'll start thinking about things and worrying about things and being upset about things. It will go around and around and around. I'm not saying men won't do that. Men will tend to do that when they're under higher stress. Women just do it as their cycle's going around. It will just start to happen. So that's why in Men Are From Mars, I explained that women are like waves. Everything's going fine, her period, she rises up, and now her body starts looking at what's missing in my life. And if she doesn't have a way to communicate more, her tendency is to be unhappy to get more. And it logically doesn't work out, because men who are having a romantic relationship with you are invested in their self-esteem. Look, I've made her happy. Look what I can do for her. And then suddenly she wants more. The breakthrough here for men is to know that when she's wanting more, you don't have to do a lot more. Because the guy's thinking, I'm doing everything I can to make her happy. I'm working really hard and I'm doing all this for her. And that's not enough to make her happy, even though a few days ago she was happy. But then suddenly these emotions will shift. It's like a storm coming in. The weather changes. That's one of my basic ideas for men to understand women. They're Mother Nature. They're like the weather. The weather changes. Sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's not. A tornado comes in. Just find a ditch and lie low. Don't try to fight it. Uh, so this is a dynamic of women's emotions shifting and changing as their cycle changes. It also changes during the second part after ovulation. Then her needs for her husband will go down. But if she didn't get what she needed when she was at the top of the cycle, then she'll still be trying to get it. Much like if you missed a good night's sleep or you missed a meal, you might be hungrier. And so she's looking in the wrong direction for more. It's after ovulation, she needs to also have the steady support of her partner, but really focus more on other things that are bothering her. So this is why we have the Venus talk. The Venus talk is for women to talk about other problems in their life to their husband and ask him just to listen and not solve anything. And then what will happen is she can be heard about other things and not him. That makes it easier for him to listen. But also when she feels heard, whether it's about him or whether it's about work, it still produces the same hormones. Estrogen goes up, her stress levels will go down, or she'll be getting enough estrogen at that point. But more importantly for women is during this time after ovulation is to find a balance within themselves of making enough progesterone. So after ovulation, women need to still be making estrogen, but not so much. But the more she needs to make more progesterone, and progesterone gets produced by doing things not out of obligation. By doing things not out of obligation, but doing things more, you like to do it, you enjoy doing it. Gigi, thanks for reposting this. So this is all about if she has a lot of obligation in her life, pressure, doing things she doesn't want to do, but she has to do, and she's not choosing to do it, but she sort of resents doing it. It's a pressure on her, it's creating overwhelm in her. That's called inhibiting progesterone production in her body, making overly too much testosterone. And at that time, she will have more PMS symptoms, premenstrual syndrome. Okay, it's like not a happy place for her. And she's unable to experience the love and the happiness and the joy of feeling supported. So, being aware of these cycles is really important, and learning at that time, at all times, when you're feeling stressed in a relationship with a guy, find your happiness independent of him, but also depend on him to be happier. And at times when you're not happy, this is the third element. Okay, one is be independent, but also depend on him to be happier. But another aspect is when you're not happy in your life, meaning you have stressful emotions, depend on him to help you get rid of those stressful emotions when he is not the source of your stress. You want to create your life that's not where he won't take it personally. He won't feel blamed. In a sense, you're complaining about other things in your life to have nothing to do with him. And that's not really complaining. That's sharing negative feelings and emotions. There's a distinction that I point out in the book between sharing and complaining. Now, if you're in a restaurant and the food's no good, you'll say to the waiter, "Hey, this soup's too not good. I want something better." Or this is not good enough. I want something better. That's a complaint. You're telling the waiter I want to speak to the manager, or I want this and this and this, and you're expecting them to give you something better, and you're expecting maybe a free drink or a free dessert or something for your trouble. That's a complaint. You're sharing negative emotions with the intent to get something. You're sharing negative emotions with the intent to change someone. This is very, very important distinction. However, if you're in a restaurant and the food's no good, you talk to your girlfriend, you say, "How's your soup? I don't really like this soup." She says, "Well, mine's okay, but I have a better recipe. I should probably give them my recipe." Or, and they're talking about my mother has a recipe, or I know another restaurant with better soup. They can have a whole conversation, in a sense, sharing negative emotions. They're not really complaining. They're sharing their feelings that are not positive. This could be better. They're wanting to see how things can be better. And this is great. This is what women bring to the world, as they always point out, "Oh, things are good. Let's make it better." And men are over here going, Well, things are working fine. Let's not change anything. And so it's these two opposite forces that we talk about again and again in this book, that when you learn to harmonize them, it's fantastic. So as far as when women want things to be better in the relationship, you ask for it. We have lots of talks on how to ask for a man, but if you're asking a man to change and you're coming from a place of he's making you unhappy, he'll just become defensive and it doesn't work. So it's learning how to create a connection with a man where he feels he's your hero. And this is my funny phrase that I came up with it's in the book, part of it, but it's it's a real message, which is, when you make a man your hero, that means not the villain, but he's the hero, he'll die for you. And recently in a talk, I said this, it was very funny, which is, and if you don't make him your hero, he'll die because of you. How many men die of a broken heart? That's really what happens a lot in medical research, is when men feel a broken emotional heart, they often have a heart attack. Okay, there's a big loss of love can cause a big reaction inside of a man many years later. But some studies have linked it to like a loss of a business, the loss of a child, the loss of a wife, the loss of some big betrayal in their life. It will cause a lasting impact that eventually causes a heart attack. And they've made that link. Men are very affected emotionally. You may not see that as women, but we're just as we need love just as much as women. And in a sense, we need women's love a lot more than women need a man's love. Women need a man's security more. And then his love is good too, but more safety, more security. But what men need is love. Love that says, you're my hero. Love that says, I trust you. Love that says, I accept you as you are. Love that says, I appreciate you. So this is an answer to the last question. This is what men are looking for from a woman, is that he's always getting a message that he's good enough. I want to get to this question. I'll come back to it. Let's take it off for now. I want to finish this point. I'm trying to get to this point. And the point is, and this is like the 5th page of the book. This is the Kindle version for women only. Is you depend on a man to become happier. You depend on your life to be happy. And when your life is not making you happy, you depend upon him to help you come back to balance, to help you come back to happy. But you're depending on him, not for him to change. That's the difference. You see, when women are unhappy, they always want a man to change. And that's what we're trying to get out of this equation. Whenever you're looking to a man to change to make you happy, look to your life to make you happy, then ask for help to make you happier. But if your life's not making you happy, then you need to look to him to help you feel happy. And that's the skills in this book. Because if you're not looking to a man to make you happy, there won't be any reason for him to be in your life. Just want you to know that. So life is stressful for you, and life is stressful for everybody. This is what we found. You can measure the stress hormones in women. They're much higher than in men. So if you're using a man to lower your stress in your life, not to become happier, but you're using him to lower the stress in your life, then what happens is that's what makes him attracted to you. He's helping you. So I made the comment last night. It's a funny comment. It's in the book too, which is, if a woman has no problems, then a man's not going to be attracted to her. Men think, I just want a happy woman. Okay, so if you're over here overly independent, I'm a happy woman, you're a happy man, you're over there and we live together, we're just roommates. What draws us together is when a woman depends on a man to be happier, that's for romance, but also depending on a man to help her be happy in her life, because life is stressful. And if you're completely solo, which is I'm happy, I don't need a man, there's very little to attract him to you. So that's the answer to the question, is like, what do we men want? We want a happy wife. That's what we want consciously. We don't know, and I'm pointing it out, that if he doesn't feel he's useful to you, then he's not going to be attracted to you. And also, if you don't feel he's useful to you, then you can't feel the appreciation and the trust and the acceptance that a man needs to feel from you. If you don't feel vulnerable in his presence, where you depend on his safety and security and his insight and understanding, if you don't feel that, you can't have admiration for him. You can't have gratitude for him. These are all expressions of feminine love for a man. And when you don't have that, and you can't just fabricate it, to a certain extent you can mood make and you can try to be loving and whatever, But if he's not actually doing things for you that are helpful to you, you're not going to actually, you can't access the love inside. And if you're stressed, you can't access the love inside. So one of the basic premises is women are stressed, use a man to lower your stress. And that's what the skills in this book help you to learn, because he doesn't know how to do that. Okay. You're stressed, you tell him about a problem, he's going to just say, oh, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. But much of the time, you're not really looking for a solution. You're needing to be heard and understood. And he has a quick solution right away in his mind. He just immediately, he thinks logic, solution, get rid of the emotion. Women, when they share emotion or feelings that are experiences that are evoking emotion inside of her, positive or negative, estrogen goes up and their stress goes down. So the new context for men in relationships is to realize not so hard to make a woman happier and to help her be happy if you learn the basics of raising estrogen in her. It used to be the world was different. It used to be that all men had to do was be good providers and women could do what they like to do. And that was enough because she really needed a man for her survival. But women don't today. So if you don't need a man for your survival, why would you love a man? What triggers the love in your heart? You might love him like you love a child. Oh, I have compassion for him. I want to help him. That's toxic love. We have a whole subject on toxic love in this book. When you're helping him, it needs to be him helping you. So let's look at that next question. We had another question that came up, and if we can bring that up, Ken. We're looking for that question. Yeah, here we go. Okay, we have lots of questions today, I just heard. So we're going to give short answers. And when is the best time to have a conversation with a man about commitment? How do I approach the conversation? What do I say? When is the time to walk away from if he's not following through? Whoa, what a bunch of whole questions. You have to hold this for a moment. These are big issues. And I got big, long answers in my book, Mars, Venus on a Date, just to know that. But I'm going to try to address this as succinctly as I can because we've got lots of questions today. So when's the best time to have a conversation with a man about commitment? Not when you're feeling uncertain. Okay, so there's 5 stages of dating. The first is attraction. Everything's going great. And then inevitably, when a man starts getting closer to maybe it's time to make a commitment, he said, maybe it's like I'm shopping for a house. Maybe this is the house I want to buy. Boom, what will come up is his doubts. Whenever you're about to make a commitment, you start to feel uncertain. Is this really the thing I want? Before, there's no question about that. I'm just enjoying it, having a good time. This is great. And then he starts to feel time has passed. Maybe 3 months have passed, 6 months have passed. Are you having sex? Well, I can sense she wants a commitment, or people tell you need to make a commitment. Well, he will go into uncertainty at that time. Now, the best thing is just don't have sex until he makes a commitment. You see, you can be making out and doing different things, enjoying each other, and then he wants to go further. And you say, I don't like to go all the way until I'm in a committed monogamous relationship. And I'm not putting pressure on you. I just want you to know, certainly I also would love to have sex, but for me, it just doesn't work to not have sex, to have sex with somebody without that commitment. That's the way you bring it up. You see, already he's negotiating to get sex, and you're not so easy about it because you're waiting for commitment before you have sex. It's a simple thing. That solves the whole problem. But once you've already had sex with him, when do you bring the commitment up? Well, what's going to happen then is he's going to go, this is why men don't call back a lot. Just you immediately get free sex. He's just going to pull away, but he has no relationship, no commitment to you at all. It's the new and different next woman's going to pull him away from you. So this is why many times it doesn't work out to have sex right away. You want to build a relationship, friendship, understanding, and the attraction in the mind, attraction in the heart, then attraction below the waist. And there's a lot of challenges at all those stages, which I talk about in that book. So when's the best time is when he's negotiating for sex. You let him know that I'm a bit old-fashioned. I like to, get to know somebody before I have sex. It's so intimate. And certainly I feel like I need to have a commitment, knowing that you're wanting to pursue this relationship and you're not looking around for others. So that's how you say it. And you do it. The secret to all this is whenever you reject a man sexually, you always say, but of course, there's a part of me that would love to have sex with you. You can't imagine how that one little phrase makes a huge difference. Because for men, it's a big part of the whole sex experience is that she wants to have sex with me. Because when a woman wants to have sex with a guy, that activates his primitive brain to make him king. Okay, because this is at a subtle level, women really don't want to have sex with you unless you're like a king to her. And that's the subconscious message. Just think about all the evolution. Even think about animal parts of our brain. We are like animals in certain ways. Is that one interesting thing? And we're not monkeys, but you can learn a lot about humans a little bit by monkeys. In a monkey tribe, with the alpha male who has the highest testosterone, all the women want him, and it goes the other way around. If the women want him, it causes testosterone to go up. I was once with a guy in a restaurant who was not the most attractive guy you'd ever see. And we were sitting rather close to another woman at a table with her date. And she was almost a little disgusted by my friend because he doesn't really keep himself up that well. He was a rich guy and not caring about what he looks like. So this woman was not that impressed at all. You could feel she was a little like, why am I sitting next to this person? And then it turned out there was a party nearby, and one by one, like 5 or 6 women all came up to my friend, just said, "Hey, how are you? So good to see you. How are you doing?" Whatever. And they were really good friends because my friend would throw these big parties and people like to be invited to his parties. And you could just see the attitude of this other woman completely change as other women were interested in him. She became very curious in him. So there's a lot of dynamics that go along with when a woman is interested in having sex with a guy, she's interested in him. That makes him more interesting to other women, and it also super raises his testosterone. This is why males easily become addicted to porn, because when you can just call up somebody online and have a woman pretend to want to have sex with you, it gives you a huge surge of testosterone, and immediately afterwards, in most cases, you don't ever go back to that one. That's the statistics in all of this, is that when you actually go all the way, when you relieve yourself with a woman online, next time you'll look for another woman. That's the statistics. And so this is what the guy's going to do. If there's no relationship, emptying his spirit and soul, there's an emptiness, and now he's going to go look to be filled up somewhere else, as opposed to being with a woman that truly knows you, you know her heart's open to you. It's not just fantasy. It's not just a big dopamine rush because new and different, but it's a real relationship. So go slow with it. That's the real key on that one. Another question? Do we have another question? I tried to keep it short. This is Alex. Thanks for the question. I'm starting to think my long-term boyfriend is an avoidant. He retrieves sleeping apart for weeks, disappears seeing others, and for days he's not seeing anyone, I don't think. What to do as letting him know I've noticed he's been sleeping apart more, that I miss sleeping next to him. So putting no pressure on him is still not doing it. How to stop the loop. I know he loves me, but the emotional side stays unmet. We live too much in parallel living, even socially, as I let him do his own things, and sex puts us back in the loop. Yeah, that's a common phenomenon, Alex. Thanks for the question there. I don't know how long you've been in this relationship, but a relationship needs to grow. And if a woman just allows it to be whatever a man wants it to be, he's thinking, hey, we have a good thing. Why do we need to change it? And there needs to be a deeper level of intimacy is what I'm seeing. And deeper intimacy occurs when you, Alex, become more vulnerable. And one form of vulnerability is certainly, I think you're expressing, which is, hey, I miss you. I want to sleep with you. That would be a simple thing. I feel lonely at night when you're not here. Would you spend more time with me? And that makes a woman feel like she's begging. I know this, it's kind of like he should want that. You shouldn't have to ask, but this is a big hurdle that women have to overcome. Is asking doesn't make you a beggar. Asking is just letting someone know what you want. So you're not like in your mind going, gee, what's going on? He's not coming with this. There is a thing that happens with men and with women, but it just shows up differently, is that familiarity, routine, lowers dopamine. Lower dopamine lowers interest, lowers motivation. So he doesn't miss you. So you're right to understand that when men get really close, they do need space. They do need to pull away. And that's this avoidant tendency. When they talk about avoidant attachment styles, most of it's all just men. Okay. And it's just different degrees of that. But what overcomes that is when men pull away, they need to be motivated to come back. And what motivates him to come back is when he feels he's needed. In the beginning, dopamine makes him come back. New and different stimulates motivation. So he's in there, he's out, it's still new, so he comes back, he goes in. But what you're describing is, the whole thing sort of drags on without more and more, without growing. So the growing closer ultimately means more time together, and that means more asking for help. So this is what place which can bring him back in is, hey, I miss you. Come, let's go do this, and give him, here's 3 things I'd like to do this weekend. And you decide, and just put it out there, and you decide, give him little things he can do for you. He doesn't think of those things, but men bond with you because he's starting to lose the bonding is what it seems like to me. Men bond when they do things for you. And when they do things for you, what initiates it in the beginning is he's just trying to let you know he likes you, he loves you, and connected to you. But once that period is over, that initial motivation is gone. It's not that he doesn't care about you. It's just that you're not opening up to ask because you didn't have to ask in the beginning. It's automatic. This dopamine level stimulates energy and testosterone and motivation. And it also stimulates happiness and well-being in you. So part of you is starting to not be as happy and fulfilled, and rightly so, because you're not getting the attention you wanted and you were getting before. So your brain goes into uncertainty. It goes into doubting. Whenever you're uncertain and goes into doubting with a man, it tends to push him away. So even in my book, it's in this book, but it's also in the book on dating, a lot more on this, Mars, Venus on a Date. This is after the attraction stage, the uncertainty stage comes up. And when you make it through that, you get to the commitment stage. And in the uncertainty stage, what women will tend to do is seek reassurance by asking him, where are we at in this relationship? And that then, when he's pulling away and you go after him, that produces more pushing him away. So this is where you have to just create a space where you focus on questioning yourself. Is he the right person for me? And maybe he's not. Maybe he is. You have to let yourself be uncertain and then take that time to create love and support in your life, which was the theme I talked about in the beginning, which is not be so dependent on a man. But clearly you want to depend on him. And so you've got to create situations now where you depend on him to be happier, or depend on him in order to help you cope with stress. And so this is where it's very powerful when you start learning the Venus talk, which is learning how to express emotion and feeling even on the phone when you're talking to him. Oh, today this thing happened, and I just want to talk about it with you. You don't have to say anything or fix it. That's a key thing. Another one is you plan a date. You think, oh, I'm begging. No. It's, when you have to ask for help, one of the things that can be helpful for women without feeling like you're begging is to realize, if you ask for help and a man doesn't help, that's a sign he really doesn't care that much. If you ask for help and he does help, that's a sign he does care. But women think if he's not automatically doing it, that's a sign he doesn't care. And that's not true. It's that he needs motivation. That's why we have a culture where you make money by doing things, because otherwise men wouldn't do much. I mean, why would I work really hard when somebody over there does the same job, doesn't put nearly the energy and effort into it? We get paid the same. That's the problem with communism. As soon as you have, particularly for men, and if men are not motivated, then women become over-motivated and they're going to be stressed out. That's what's happening today, is as women become more independent, men are not as motivated to be the provider, because women are not saying, hey, we need your help. Unless it's, unfortunately, it's a backwards way of looking at it, because what's happening today is women don't need a man for survival, but giving a confusing message, but I want a man who makes as much money as me or more. And so women are all making more money than men. Now they want men to make more money. So you really cut down on all the men that you can have in your life. Now I'm going to expand on that in the series of these for women only books. That's going to be the one for strong, independent women. But this is a big challenge. And it could be the challenge here with this question even. Why does a man not commit? Often, men don't commit. This isn't every case, but he doesn't feel needed as much. It's like if well, my daughter's always calling me and she has Dad, would you go and do this for me? I can't do it because this is happening. She needs my help. Boom, I'm over there. Otherwise, I don't go visit that much. Okay, so it's like she's always got something. She's going to invite me to dinner where she'll do something nice for me, but then she'll ask me to do something. Would you do this for Dad? Would you pick this food up? I do shopping for them because I would normally just think I'll go shopping for you, but she'll call in the order and I'll go pick it up. I'll bring it to their house to make it easier for them. Gives me a chance to hang out with my grandchildren. This is wisdom. Feminine wisdom is create situations for a man to help you. And that's how they bond. That's how they stay connected to you. So that was the answer to the last two questions. Let's do for another question. Let's go for another question here. So they're looking up the question now. They're going to put on the screen. This is Damaris. Thanks for all the questions. This is fun. I'll just try to stick focused to the question, and I'll also point out how they're all answered in this new book for women only or other books that I have. How to deal with a husband that has porn addiction. Okay, this is like, how do you deal with a husband who's addicted to alcohol, addicted to cocaine, addicted to porn? Our society hasn't recognized that porn is as bad as pedophilia. I'm going to just throw this out here. I can say what I want on my own show. I think porn should be illegal. I know that they're trying to make it illegal for people who are 16 years old, but then the problem with that is then we have to have a government ID, and I don't approve of digital ID to control your life. You do not want the government controlling your life, and that's just how they're going to squeeze in digital ID. Is they're going to say, well, we do not want kids looking at porn, so you've got to have digital IDs. What would be a joke is to have well, I guess this wouldn't work either, but I was about to say a digital ID only for 16-year-olds. But the problem is that when they get older, that digital ID still is there, unless they could eliminate it after 16 years old. That might be a creative thing. But what we know right now is that you go to jail if you found pedophilia. Now, they're trying to normalize pedophilia over here. You see, there's a force that wants to make everything go down, and there's a force that wants to make everything go up. Just call it like that. In religions, they say there's God and there's a devil. And we know energetically there's the law of thermodynamics. If you don't put energy into a system, it will degenerate. So you have to constantly work at, or it will die. If you don't take care of your house, it will wither and die. Your garden, you have to keep watering the garden. If you don't water the garden, the plants will die. So you have to put energy into this whole thing. And addiction to porn is not putting energy into the marriage. It's not putting energy into the woman. It's putting energy into fantasy. It's putting energy, just throwing it away. It's the same as the gambling addiction. Is husband's making money for the family. We don't save it. We're just going to throw it away into the gambling. It's emptying out, and it will only cause pain and suffering to the woman. It only causes pain and suffering to the man. It's everybody loses with addiction. And when it comes to porn, it should not be so readily available. It should not be there. It should be illegal. It should be treated just like, pedophilia pornography. Pedophilia pornography is still seen as really life as a negative force on the planet. It's not there. It's unhealthy. It's not. I don't have the negative words like everybody has. They don't circulate in my brain. So I can't say it, but degenerate. Okay, let me write that down. It's degenerate, non-life supporting. So porn is non-life, pedophilia is non-life supporting. Any addiction is non-life supporting. Pornography is non-life supporting. So we clearly know that pedophilia is non-life supporting and people go to jail for it. Well, I think porn should be non-life supporting, period. Boy, if men did not have porn, they'd be out there dating women, and women would say, no, I'm not going to have sex with you unless you got a job, unless you clean yourself up, because I don't want some nobody having sex with me. You see, there was a wisdom in the past. I remember when the first time I had sex, man, I thought this was the best thing in the world. It was so fantastic. but I was traumatized by it as well. I went to my friend. We spent all night talking about why are you not allowed to have sex unless you're married if you want to be a spiritual good person, a life supporting person. Why do you have to be married? What does a document do? I mean, I couldn't make any sense out of it then. No, I totally understand. If you have sex without commitment, what happens is women become more needy and men become more avoidant. Sex without commitment, if you want to talk about attachment theory, makes men attachment avoidant and makes women attachment anxious because you just bonded with somebody who's not there for you. And a man's bonded with someone only sexually, not as the heart, not as the person. It's just a sex object. He's bonded with you sexually. It feels really good. Tension is released and there's no attraction. It's biology. It's all just biology. He's spent. He's done. And it takes new and different to get him going again. He becomes now dependent upon the big hit because you get a bigger dopamine spike when you have sex with somebody and there's no intimacy. Let's just say this again. This is a very important point. Women often say, gee, I'm married to my husband. I found out he's having an affair with this woman, and this woman's not even as beautiful as me. I'm way more beautiful than that woman. Why is he wanting to be with her? I mean, he's terribly insulting to her, besides the fact he's also cheating on her, and he's sucking out the energy of their marriage into somebody else and throwing it away. Why is it? It's new and different. All men need it is new and different and impersonal. Impersonal makes the tension greater. It makes the dopamine go higher. It makes sex more addictive if there's no intimacy. If I know you and I love you, what's happening is my estrogen levels are going up and I've turned on to my testosterone levels are going to go up. If I don't have any love for you, my testosterone levels, without the estrogen to balance it, the testosterone just shoots up. The dopamine goes way up. If I love you, the serotonin's there. Serotonin balances dopamine. Serotonin says peace. Dopamine says danger, safety, danger. Okay, so when you have intimacy, you have all this safety. You love this person. You're close to this person. You care about this person. They have influence on you. That's producing all these female hormones. And you've got your desire for her. That's your testosterone. So yeah, this is why, one explanation of why single men for their age category statistically all have higher testosterone, and married men statistically for every age category have lower testosterone than single men. And once you have children, it goes down even lower. And once you have grandchildren, it goes down even lower. So this is a distinction. It doesn't have to be that way, but that's the distinction which is there because our relationships, women don't know how to pump up a man's testosterone. I've trained my wife. Bonnie actually just did it to me. She learned how to ask for help in a way that didn't blame me. She learned how to share her feelings. I remember the day. It was like she said, "Oh, I'm so happy to see you. I want to tell you what happened at work. You don't have to say anything." I said, "Okay, easy job." Boom. Her estrogen goes up in my presence. My attraction for her increases. If you want a man to make a commitment to you, you have to create these opportunities of vulnerability where you're needing a man's help and he does it for you. As opposed to I need his help for one big thing. Okay, he's got a job. Well, that's good. That will give you a lot of estrogen in the beginning, but then the brain will habituate, which means it no longer gives you a spike of estrogen. So let's take another question here. You talk a lot about how a wife is the receptive. The feminine and the wife is receptive. But from what I see, women do much more in marriages. That's right. Women do much more in marriages foolishly. They've got this guy who's willing to work for hire. It's funny. You see all these immigrants who are standing around waiting for somebody to hire me, hire me. This is it's like that's what men are. We're work for hire. And we want to be paid. If you don't pay us, we don't work. If you don't ask us, we don't work. You got to hire us. So like cooking, shopping, laundry, husbands don't do much. Please explain. Okay. Yes. First of all, more and more men are doing that. There is research is showing that when a woman makes as much money as a man, he will tend to automatically participate more in the cooking and the laundry and the mothering. That's actually statistically, the studies have been done. But when a man makes a lot more money than a woman, or let's say she's a stay-home mother, she does all that stuff, what she's supposed to do. Relationship is two-sided, it's give and receive, but it's not give the same. It's a different dynamic. How can I, if a man is providing all the money, the energy it takes and the responsibility and the pressure to provide all the money puts a stress on him, which causes him to have a sense of recovery time, of needing to rest. Now that women are doing it, they also need to rest, but they can't rest. Their body's not designed to rest. Their body's designed to never turn off. You see, I can come home. My wife can, if she was working a job where she was really tired, we both come home and be tired. The house would be a mess and I would be fine with it. See, there are some men on their female side that have this old-fashioned idea, honey, you should do this and this and this and have a job, which is crazy. I get that. But the reality is, if I'm really tired, I don't care about the mess in the house. The dishes can stay in the sink. I'm going to take my rest. Women don't have that biology. See, they're going to go out and get work and they're going to be tired, but they're going to come home and their brain's going to say, but I still have to cook and I still have to shop and I still have to do laundry and I still have to do all these things. She has this have to thing going on in her brain. How to relieve that? And by the way, and if she's feeling exhausted and overwhelmed, it just makes her husband more tired. Whenever a woman is unhappy, a man's testosterone levels go down. He is going to go down. He has to recover from his day. He's going to rest. Women don't know how to do that. They're biologically not set to do that. They become overwhelmed. You can see this. Ask all your girlfriends. Women are always saying, not enough time, not enough money, not enough support, not enough help. That's what you're saying here. Hey, it's unfair. I'm doing everything. I'm doing everything. Rarely do you have a man complaining, I do everything, because he doesn't. Why would I want to do everything? I do what I do. You do what you do. This is a partnership. We worked it out a long time ago. I'm going to do the outer world. I'm going to do difficult things, dirty jobs, dangerous jobs, things you don't want to do. And I'm happy to do them as long as when I come home, I don't have to do all this other stuff. And it turns out all domestic work doesn't raise testosterone. Routine doesn't raise testosterone. The workplace is never routine. And if it is, it's really, it gives you a heart attack. Okay. You need to have new challenges. Things have to challenge you if you're a man. There has to be risk and danger. And of course, just the fact that you're working for money, which housewives aren't working for money, men are working for money. And so he's working for money. So he's always challenged. If I don't put out, I could lose my job. Of course, now if you're in Italy or Greece, you don't have to work hard at all. That's why Europe is just going down. It's just the stupidity of the government there, to let all those immigrants in to take over their culture is one thing. But the other side of it is just simply the whole crash of their economy is. This is when I go to Europe and I hear the stories of Italy. I'm not an expert on this, but let me just tell you the stories. Is that if an employee doesn't do their job, it's really, really hard to fire them. So rather than have them come to work, they'll just stay home and we'll pay you because you can't fire people. It's very hard, just like in the government. You can't fire people. It's really hard to fire people. So if you can't be fired, then your output is going to be less, particularly if you're a man. I mean, why should I work hard if I don't have to? It's risk and danger, it's challenge. So men a long time ago, coming back to our point here, men a long time ago, we're doing the dirty, dangerous, difficult jobs. We don't whine, we don't complain. We're happy to do it. We're happy campers. We don't complain. As long as we come home, we get to relax, we get to recover. We have a wife who makes a beautiful home for us and she raises our children and she loves us. We have sex with her. This was the arrangement. And then suddenly women all decided who knows? It could have just been as simply as a lot of men died during World War II and a lot of girls grew up without fathers. And then those girls growing up without fathers don't know how to trust men. And so they saw their mothers having to be the man. And so they learned how to be the man. And when you're the man, you resent that men aren't doing stuff for you. And so you have a negative attitude towards men. They're useless. So then you create feminism, which is we have power. Power feels really good. It doesn't make you happy. Doesn't make you happy if you're a woman. Women have power, they say all the time. I think it's in this book. I wrote 6 books on this, but there's all these quotes from women I've met who are very successful and powerful, influential, and they say, but I'm not happy. I'm not happy. And this is kind of a standard cliche today. People achieve their goals and they're not happy. Yeah, for some men, but particularly for women. And that this is because the happiness hormone is estrogen. Estrogen is produced when you feel I have support. Let's do this question in a moment. I'll finish up that last question. I really like that last question. Can we take this question away? There we go. Now hold on to that question. Now, coming back to, so why? Okay, so now you've got all these situations. A man's making all the money, he comes home. If you want to know the biology of that, is that men need their cave time when they come home. And also women used to have all day to do those things. And they, get this, they liked doing those things. I get women don't like doing those things. You're complaining about it now because you don't have the energy to do it. You don't have the support to do it. You don't have the time to do it. You don't have a group of women to help you doing it. That's the way the world used to be. So there was this whole structure. Women do the nurturing jobs. But nurturing is a source of stress for women if you're not being cared for. So the idea is you nurture the home because the man is protecting the home and the man is providing for the home. You don't have to do the outside job. You're doing the inside job. And then women decide, I want to do the outside job. Okay. But are men going to, stop you? We're not going to stop you. So now you're doing the outside job and you're expecting us to join with you to do the inside job. We didn't ask for that. We're not designed for that. And it is shown that when men do routine work, their testosterone levels go down. It's the challenging work that causes men to keep their testosterone levels up. But you can break that routine at home, and you can I don't know, everybody they set up how they're going to do it. I'm not going to tell everybody how to do it. I know in the case with Bonnie and I made the money. Bonnie took care of the home. It was very traditional. I saw my dad do it with my mother. But the difference is Bonnie and I figured this out. I told Bonnie, anytime you're feeling stressed, ask for my help. Ask me to do anything. But ask. Don't just expect it of me. You can expect me to make money. You can expect me to do the taxes. You can expect me to do certain things. That's my job. But where we come together is you're a stay-home mother, but if you need help, ask. That is the key. And if it's always the key, this is what we're learning now. This is, you want to keep the passion together. Women have to break the routine by asking, and they will have the awareness of, I want more, I need help, I do this, but they don't ask. And they don't ask because they think if you love me, you would offer to do it. No, you have to ask. That vulnerability gives him energy. If you don't have vulnerability, it suppresses a man's energy. One woman said to me, I tell her story in this book. It's a short story, but she says, why is it my husband, he's always tired around me. And his guy friends call, he says, energy, he's up, he's alive. They have that. The guy friends have no expectation of them. They're friends. They don't want to change them in any way. As soon as a woman walks around feeling like I'm not getting help, I'm not being loved, I'm not being supported, I'm not getting what I want, that just drains a man. He's connected to you. He just had sex with you at some point. So he feels what you feel. And if you feel he's not good enough, his testosterone crashes. Oh, we went back to before we bring in another question, that last one, I want to answer a really hard question. The woman asked, what do I do about my husband in porn? Well, I'll tell you what worked for me. And that was a long time ago, when this is back in the early 80s, and porn was coming online with video. And it's very different to have a Playboy magazine around. That's very different, even though that's not that life supporting, but objectifying women as sex objects. But now there was videos. And so I came home one time and said, honey, let's watch these videos, sex videos, and then have sex. Okay, so we watched this video, and I'm like getting all turned on by it, because impersonal stimulates men. Impersonal doesn't stimulate women unless they have really low self-esteem. Okay, that is a case. That's another dynamic. But when a woman has self-esteem, she's not going to be turned on by porn. She goes, why are we watching them? We should just do it ourselves. I'm not getting anything out of that. So, and I can think about all the women who are listening to this, but I like porn now because more and more women are liking porn. Why? Because you have low self-esteem and you're on your male side. Anytime you go to your male side, your female side has low self-esteem. Why do you go to your male side in the first place? Because you don't feel safe. You don't feel good enough on your female side, so you have to earn it, rather than know that being a woman, you deserve, and you will get. And when you don't get from him, you realize, yeah, but look at all this other stuff I have. It's grace, as you have this feeling of grace and happiness and fulfillment and gratitude. And you also have problems and challenges, and you feel comfortable asking for help, as opposed to doubting that you deserve it. And understanding men can help with this. We just don't do it unless you ask. And we don't have the energy to do it unless you're vulnerable. So I'll read this in a moment. I'll finish my point. And then there was another question that came up a minute ago. So anyway, the way I stopped doing porn was I thought it'd be something exciting for us. And she just sat there and go, and she would actually just say, besides just being bored, she said, John, this is so boring. This isn't interesting to me at all. Just that immediately killed my need to go look. I'd look for it there. And so if you got a husband and he's off doing porn, just say, hey, if you're going to do porn, that's sexual action. We have a commitment to be together. At least have me be there. And then just be there and just go, I love you, honey. I don't know why you're turned on. This is just so boring. And if you're bored by it and turned off by it without judging him, he can't be that turned on to it. So I don't know how many people this is going to work for, but I know it will certainly work for me. And that would be the case. Because once men get over, I'm secretly doing my porn, that's just going to make more dopamine. So at least you want to say, if you're going to do it, let me be there and I'll be there with you. And then in a very friendly way, you would say things like, this is kind of boring. And just even having that attitude and not being excited by it, because that's going to make him feel a bit embarrassed and a bit like, it brings reality into the whole thing, so we can't go into this trance. I remember this. I'll give you another example of this. I'd be teaching classes in different places where I lived in LA at that time, and I was teaching this class. This is one example. And there was a girl who was really going to hit on me, and I'm a married man. And she said, oh, can you give me a ride home? I said, sure. Got in the car, and she sat in the front seat, and she starts talking about, I'm so attracted to you. I just want to take off your clothes and make love with you. I said, what did I say? I just heard that. And I say, well, I'm married. And then she says, but aren't you attracted to me? And then I said something really good. I said, I think you're very attractive. If I had said, yes, I'm attracted to you, that would immediately increase the kind of sexual tension that was there. You want to displace the tension. And so then the next thing is, she says, yes, but I'm really turned on to you. Aren't you turned on to me? And I said, this is inappropriate conversation. How would you be having this conversation if my wife was sitting in the backseat of the car right now with my daughter? Just killed everything. All I had to do was bring my wife into the conversation, and there was nothing happening in me. Because man, woman alone, and if woman's turned on to a man, it's really hard for him not to be turned on back. He's no longer in his head. It's a biological thing. So what I did is just simply, to avoid getting turned on, I just simply brought my wife into the car and started talking about her. And I certainly never said, I'm attracted to you. I'd never say that to a woman. She said, aren't you attracted to me? I say, I think you're very attractive. Stay in my head, not say, yeah, I'm really attracted to you. Boom, a man says that, it engages the sex energy. And now you're having to control something and whatever. So you want to, these are certain dynamics. So when it comes to porn, make sure that you're there in the room when he's doing his porn and you're not being turned on by it. That's enough. But try not to be blaming him and embarrassing him and judging him. But just say, I'd like to do this together with you. Because, if this is what you need, then okay, I'll be with you. Okay, so now there was a question and two things have come up. Ken, you can bring those questions up. I often feel anxious, distracted. Let's see, this is Samuel. I often feel anxious, distracted, and often overthink interactions and assume people have negative feelings about me. I am male and in my 20s. Okay, that is a symptom of too much estrogen in your body. Just want you to know that. Now, not that you should take something that blocks estrogen in your body. That does exist. That wouldn't be the case. But you need to do things that will lower the estrogen and raise the testosterone. So I have an app. The app is called the Mars Venus Heart Space app. And so what you're describing is what men experience when they're experiencing cortisol. And what you're experiencing is high cortisol. Cortisol lowers your testosterone. And like any guy your age, is 20% lower than just 20 years ago if you're average. What this app does is you'll be able to do it real easily and you'll get a lot of benefit out of it. See, anytime overthinking see, if you have testosterone in your body, you just say, forget it. Don't worry about it. It's not me. Sticks and stones can break my bones. Words don't hurt me. Done it. I'm done. You become overly sensitive to what other people think and feel. and you overthink it. This is called rumination. This is what women do. This is what happens when you have a lot of estrogen in your body. So you counteract that by analyzing those feelings. Analysis produces testosterone. It was actually the foundation of a lot of psychology today. With Freud, became very famous. The way he would do it, it wasn't talk about your feelings. Nobody ever talked about their feelings. They would analyze. Okay, so what are you thinking? And sometimes feelings would come up, and you say, well, why are you having those thoughts? What are you thinking? What are you thinking? What are you thinking? So what you have to do is start analyzing these emotions that come up. And what would be a good guide for you, instead of having to pay money to be in counseling with me, which would help you analyze what's going on, which is what Freud did. And the funny thing about it, it's so different from what therapy is now. You have lights are on, you have eye contact, you face somebody. Freud would sit in his chair behind his clients, never look at them. And the clients would say things like, well, what do you think about that? And Freud would say, well, what do you think about that? It's always, what do you think about that? And the therapist completely detaches themselves. So in a sense, this app will be detached from you. It will help you analyze your feelings. And what it does analyze your feelings. But first, it helps you to identify the emotions. Because see, when you're distracted, you're anxious. When you're anxious, you're afraid. And so anxiety is unidentified fear. What am I actually afraid of? You have to put it into words. So the app, you'll just say, hey, I'm feeling anxious about this and this and this. And then the app would say, and what else? And I'm feeling this and this. And this has 5 specific questions. And you just talk off the top of your head. Then what it will do is write a feeling letter. It's my feeling letter process. And it will interpret what you're saying into actually verbal expressions of emotion. It'd be like, I remember when I was anxious as a young guy. I was going to do a radio show. And I had done a radio show before, and I was teaching these classes on relationships. It was called actually Enlightened Sexuality. That was my specialty. And but I'm going on a radio show. I'd never done that before. So I was very anxious about it. And I said to myself, all right, well, let me, what am I telling myself? That was another tool that I used at the time. I'm telling myself I'm not good enough. I don't know what I'm thinking. And then I transform it into identifying my emotions. And my emotions are, I'm afraid he'll think I'm inexperienced. I'm afraid he'll think I have nothing valuable to say. I'm afraid he'll have questions. I won't have good answers. I'm afraid people won't like what I have to say. I'm afraid I'll embarrass myself. So you actually have to articulate clearly in words what you're afraid of, because anxiety is unidentified, just raw emotion in there. You have to find out what's really causing the emotion. It's those beliefs that I just said. So what I'm doing there, by learning to identify them with words, I'm connecting the emotion, which is out of control in the back part of my brain, a symptom of stress, cortisol in the body. And I'm using my prefrontal cortex to analyze it, to identify it, and then analyze it. Now the blood flow is leaving the back part of the brain to the front part of the brain, where you can be in present time and there's nothing to worry about. You can only focus on, well, what can I do about it? That's it. So this helps organize that into a letter expressing your emotions. So you'd write that emotion. Imagine it says, who do you want to write the letter to? And it will write it for you. You're not going to give the letter to anybody, but you want it to be writing a letter because you're feeling I'm writing this letter to someone I care about, someone whose love is important to me, someone I need their understanding, a real person, not a computer. So you would then, it will ask you who to write it to. You say my mother, my father, my girlfriend, my higher self, God, whatever relationships you have in your life where you depend on them for love and support. It will now write the letter, but it will express all of your emotions: anger, frustration, disappointment, sadness, fear. And it does this for you and makes you aware of your emotions to analyze it. Then it makes you aware of what you need to hear. So now when you hear when it writes out what you need to hear in response, as if a letter from your mother or your father to you, now you're becoming aware of, oh yeah, I need someone to tell me those things. I need that. And when you're aware of what you need and you're giving it to yourself, you're giving it to yourself. All you have to do is recognize, oh, well, that's what I need. And imagine getting it. Now you connect with another part of you, a gratitude part of you. So I remember going to the radio interview and I was processing my emotions like that. And then after you process your emotions, the app does this for you. Then you go to what you want. Okay. Well, I want to be successful. I want people to use my phone number and call me up and sign up for my class. I want people to think my book is really good. So what you want, be really clear about that. And then the thing that made the anxiety go away was, and what am I grateful for? Gratitude, if you're feeling grateful, grateful for the opportunity, grateful I have this job, grateful for my wife, grateful for this. Once you're actually feeling grateful, you can't feel anxious. But you can't fully feel your gratitude until you first connect with your emotions, identify them, connect with what you're wanting instead of what you're not wanting, because that's what all fear is what I don't want. And then you focus on what I do want. Then what you're grateful, it will start knocking that anxiety down more and more, give you motivation in your life as opposed to getting stuck in anxiety, which causes you to avoid responsibility. Thank you so much for that question. I'm so grateful for it. Give me a chance to talk about the Mars Venus Heart Space app. Try it out right now. Go online, get it. It's fantastic. Okay, next question. We're going to have another question come up now. Okay, let's see. I found a wonderful man who knows nothing of hormones, but he gets it naturally. I bought us your book for Christmas vacation, and we read it together. Men are from Mars, women are from me. Oh, Mars, Venus in the bedroom. Okay, yes. What a wonderful book. This is the wisdom. You can bring up another question while I comment on that one. The great thing about that book is it's really fun to read. It's very, very G-rated. It's just like pure. It's poetry in a sense, in my mind. When I read it and wrote it, I just felt this. It makes something that people often think is dirty or dangerous or secretive into something beautiful, which is what sex is. It can be making love and how to understand women's different needs and men's different needs. And I'm sure you enjoyed that very much. And it's a way of being able to communicate what you would like and want without having to tell your partner during the act. Because often if you say, don't do that, it shuts a man down because it's the most vulnerable time for a man, the most vulnerable time for a woman. And sometimes giving suggestions, corrections can sound like criticism. So this way you've got a lot of education where you can say, oh yeah, he said to do that. That's interesting. Do you feel that way? You can have like a little discussion about it based upon what's in the book. And it's fun for couples to read it back and forth. So here's another question. What about a man that just complains about everything about his wife? No skills he's taught does any good. Well, I love the key phrase there. No skills that he's taught does any good. Who taught him skills? His father didn't teach him. There's no doubt. That's who taught him to complain a lot. He just got it from his father. That's all, or got it from his mother, who could be a complainer. We know women complain a lot more than men. In generalities, it could be some men are just big complainers, and they basically learn that from their mothers. Occasionally, they learn it from their fathers, who learn it from their mothers. But women are the big complainers. Men, the whole thing about masculinity is don't complain. Don't complain. Suck it up. Be a man. It's ultimate masculinity training. Any men that do complain, they're going to just increase their estrogen. Their masculinity weakens, and then their life weakens, and they have more to complain about. And part of that whole thing is what contributes to that is a woman who listens. In the beginning, she's sympathetic, kind of like if she had a little boy who's crying, she'll be empathetic to him. It's just a turn off to her. She'll lose all trust in him, all respect in him. Her attraction for him will diminish, and that will cause his testosterone to go down anymore, give him more to complain about. So what about a man that just complains about everything about his wife? Okay, so they got one thing is the guy's complaining about work. Now, the guy who complains about his wife, men do not complain about their wife unless they sense their wife is complaining about them. And right now you're complaining about him, just to let you know. Maybe you don't verbalize it, but you're feeling it. And it's worse if you're feeling it than if you actually verbalize it. Now, I'll give you an example. One woman, she's in a Christian community, and I'm Christian, by the way, but I respect all religions and so forth. I don't have a beef with anybody. But so I honor that. But also I know in this Christian community, there's a lot of virtuousness, people faking, pretending to have these wonderful relationships when they don't, because part of their thing is to love. Oh, yes, I love my partner. But then as a therapist, you find out they're not having sex at all. And then you talk about why you're not having sex at all. And then she'll tell you all her resentments and her judgments and her criticisms and her lack of forgiveness and so forth. It's all in there. But then they walk around feeling, oh, I'm so loving and I'm so good. And I'm not saying it's just Christians, but I'm just giving an example. And the whole dynamic there is she thinks because she's not saying bad things to her partner, not complaining to her partner, but her coldness inside, her lack of interest in sex inside, because when women have warmth in their heart, they're interested in sex. Okay, let's just get that. When the heart is warm, that gets warm below the waist. And if there's nothing happening below the waist, her heart is not warm. She's cold. She's cold. She's judgmental. She's critical. She's just disappointing. She's maybe even angry. Okay, that's a different kind of warmth. So if you have complaints about your partner, they will complain to you. Men mirror everything about women. Here's a fun example of that one. We often say, happy wife, happy life. Nobody says, happy husband, happy wife. Nobody says that because it's not true. I saw it. When I would come back from trips, and I love my work, okay? Who could not love it? You get paid well, you're helping people recognize you, people appreciate you. I'm a lucky man. And so I used to come home, tell my wife, oh, I had the best. She said, how was your trip? Oh, fantastic. It was great. It was great. Now she says, how was your trip? I'll say, oh, the flight was late. I had to sit there, the connection. I can't believe it. I'll focus on everything that went wrong because my nature as a man is I don't complain. I don't focus on the negative. I focus on the good. But what I found, if I just focused on the good, she would now start feeling awful. It's kind of like, oh, you have all the fun. You do all the good stuff, and she'd start to complain about her life. So if I was complaining, then she didn't complain so much about her life. But it wouldn't be like an emotionally packed complaint. It would be like, yeah, this happened. I'm not looking for sympathy or empathy. When men look for sympathy and empathy, it makes women into a mother. But when men just ignore the fact that life is suffering for them, then women feel I'm the only one who's suffering. And so what do women need? What women need is to feel that we both share the same life experience. If she's suffering, I should be suffering. And men, if you're not suffering in your life, she's going to feel I'll make you suffer, so we'll be together. So this is a general kind of a thing, but it's really, you can't just like focus, I'm so happy, and expect your wife to be happy for you. She'll be happy for you when she's happy. If she's happy, she's very happy for you. So the women who go, no, I love my wife, my husband's happy. Well, that's because you're already happy. But you have to imagine you're feeling neglected and unsupported in your life, and you're feeling like a victim in life, and your husband comes home and, I have such a great day, I'm so good with my friends. It's like, whoa, back up from that, because she wants to feel a connection. Because how can she feel understood? How can she feel understood if I'm in this sort of elevated place? It won't be safe for her to share her feelings. Also, she wants connection. So it's being respectful. It's like here's another example of that for fun. I didn't understand all this stuff when I married Bonnie. Okay, so I made all these mistakes. And one day Bonnie was like really upset with the kids and frustrated. I didn't know what was going on, just a lot of noises. I walked through the house, ignoring her completely, to the garage. And she said, well, where are you going? Well, where are you going? I said, I'm just going to go for a drive. And she said, what? Right now you're going to go for a drive? And I just said my truth. I said it wasn't the right thing to say, but I said my truth. I said, well, honey, right now I can see you're upset. And I'd rather not be here at this time. I'd rather just go do something that makes me feel good as opposed to getting involved in all of what you're upset about. And she felt like, you just don't understand. You don't understand at all. I said, that's okay. I accept that you're upset. And I just started going off. She says, no, what I want is for you to understand what I'm going through. I don't want you to just go off and have a good time. I want you to know what I'm going through. And that's where I learned that all I want, if I'm upset, I just want my wife to ignore me. Go off, go shopping, go with a friend. I'll take care of myself. But here she's upset. She doesn't want simple acceptance. Oh, you're upset. You can deal with it. No, she wants me to be a part of it. She wants me to get involved. She wants me to understand what she's going through. Because if she feels heard and understood, then her stress goes down. I don't need that so much. Now, if I'm a guy on my female side, the guy who's complaining a lot, he thinks he's on his female side. He thinks he wants somebody to sympathize for him, feel sorry for him, feel bad for him. But all he's doing is just becoming weaker and weaker. He thinks that's what he wants, just like when you eat sugar. You think that's what you want. It feels good, but it's not good for you. Same thing when a guy's seeking sympathy and empathy. I remember I was in my men's group at one point where, somebody ripped me off of millions of dollars. And I told my group about it. And one of the guys goes, brutal. That was the sympathy, empathy that I wanted. Not someone feeling sorry for me, just brutal, amazing that you can handle that sort of thing and acknowledging that that's a big blow, but not making a sympathy, empathy. That's not what men need. We're tough. We need to be toughed up, but we need to be appreciated. So he was like appreciating what an amazing guy I was and what an injustice that was with one word, brutal. What a wonderful thing that was. Another example of that is I was on a tour as a Women to Understand Men. And I was promoting my Mars, Venus in the Workplace book. And I had 3 weeks of nonstop travel, one thing after another, 6 interviews a day, and then traveling another 10 interviews. Just, I'm like a machine, and more so than other times. It was a big one. And I probably looked tired to some extent, second weekend or something. And a woman looked at my schedule and she says, "Oh, you look so tired. You should get more rest." Thinking she's giving me one. I wanted to punch her. I didn't, of course. Just a reaction. Something came on my screen. It was almost like, poor baby, you should rest. Oh, how hard that is. Now, a man saw my schedule. Right after that, the guy was, "Man, you're doing a lot. Amazing." See, he's acknowledging my hard work, my effort, my strength, my stamina. Whereas the woman over there is going, "Oh, you look so tired. You should get some rest," as if that was helpful to me. But if it had been another woman, it might have been very helpful. "Oh my gosh, you're doing so much. You should get some rest." It's like my wife always says, "Be safe, be safe." I don't need her to say that to me, but I'll say it to her because I learned, make sure to be safe. Make sure you get time for yourself. These like mothering kind of things. Men don't want that. And when they do want it, don't give it to them. And when this guy's complaining a lot, you ask, what do you do when a man complains a lot? You have to out-female him. You have to start complaining more. You have to own the female energy. The female energy is the part of it that says, yes, things could be better. Yes, you see women acting like that on dating shows. It's very awkward. Okay. Yes. So this is such a key point. It's in this book, which is when men go to their female side, what's the answer? You have to out-female him and go further to your female side, not your mothering side, your female side, which needs his help. So you're going to share with him your complaints, but not about him. See, this is what goes on. He complains, she complains, they complain back and forth, or he complains, she listens, but inside she's feeling like I'm such a loser. He's such a baby. All these reactions, but you would never say it because that would not be virtuous, and nor do I recommend you say it. What I recommend you doing is changing the energetic dynamics where you're the female and he's the male. He's helping you. Because when you're helping somebody, there's no reason to complain. You're in your confidence, you're in your service, you're in your selfless mode. So let him be there for you. And that's what for women only is learning how to be receptive, learning how to motivate a man to give more to you rather than you giving to him. So do we have any other questions? Questions, comments? Let's see. Somebody says, wow, great ideas. How to deal with a man who does porn, how to deal with a woman. Yeah, this is amazing stuff. Now, that is in another book, that the whole thing on porn is not in this book, but that was Kaler. Thanks so much on that acknowledgement. Ken, if we don't have questions, you just told me there was a lot of questions. You can always send me a message, say no more questions, and I'll continue talking. Somebody says they think I upgraded my camera. I didn't, but I did put another light in my office, so maybe that's it. Thanks for that feedback. Let's see if here's one. And also Helena had a message in there. I didn't read it. But Alina, thanks for your question. How to explain that my boyfriend has female friends and he keeps without needing anything in exchange from them, as he said. I know he is that kind of person that wants to help people in general. Should I be concerned that he helps female friends? I'm afraid to lose him, and I told him that he's my diamond and others may want to steal him away. That's really good. Okay, that's really good. I remember you made this wonderful analogy in past videos. Yes, I'm agreeing with you. My wife's always telling me I'm her diamond. You're like a diamond. So she feels a little threatened of losing me. She says, you don't just bring your diamonds out everywhere. Okay. But it's a great thing to say. And I think I'll just put it out here. Guys, it's a little weird for you to spend much time in female friendships. And maybe you're helping these people. It will have a subtraction effect in your marriage. My recommendation is guys have guy friends, girls have girlfriends, no guy friends. Guys have, it's not like religion here, like this is some kind of ultimate rule, but it's a little weird. It's a little weird when a guy is helping another woman. And if he's helping, one thing is be friends at a distance. I have lots of friends, but they're also friends of my wife's. That's different. Okay, so this is like we get together as couples or whatever. But when you have a single woman out there and she's your friend, it gets a little weird. And I can understand any woman who says, I don't feel comfortable with that. And then there was the whole issue with my first wife, Barbara, which is, there's a lot of history way, way back. We were married a couple of years. And I tried to marry Bonnie. Bonnie didn't want to marry me. She says I wasn't ready. And then so I ended up marrying Barbara. Barbara lasted a couple of years of marriage, healed myself from that heartbreak, and then went back and married Bonnie, my soulmate. Sometimes you have your soulmate in your life. It's just not the right time. You're not ready. So that was clearly in the case of me, which is, Bonnie is definitely my soulmate. Barbara was my healing process, our learning relationship. And I learned a lot from that relationship. And a big part of that learning was that in my relationship with Barbara, we were in complete role reversal. I was living in her house. She started out as like my assistant, helping me promote my seminars. Then we became partners, and then we got married. And it was all about her earning my love. She was pursuing me, always pursuing me. And hey, you can pursue a guy, he'll feel love, but he doesn't bond with you. Now, Bonnie never pursued me. I was pursuing Bonnie, and really wanted to marry her. But I was really not ready yet. I didn't have a good income. I had just been a monk for 9 years. I was getting myself grounded in the world. But just a few years with Barbara, she helped me get grounded. I'm always grateful for that, helping me, be successful and be in a nice house while that was going on. And she was really on her male side. And she's been married 5 times. And part of her challenges in life, which I'm sure she's overcome, is that as a woman, she would try too hard to make a man love her. But if she was to relax, the man wouldn't love her because she was earning the love. This is why I tell women, I learned a very important thing. Don't earn a man's love. Make him come to you. He's got to earn the love. Then you don't ever feel exhausted trying to make this relationship work. He can feel exhausted making the relationship work, earning your love. But that's what strengthens men, is that he does stuff for you and you appreciate it. And he only really becomes exhausted and gives up is if he does things for you and you don't appreciate it. Or if you don't open up and allow him to do things for you, encourage him to do things for you in a non-demanding, non-critical way. And I know this is confusing, which is why I wrote this whole book. The whole idea of asking for help and gets translated into women's brains as, well, then complain. I'm complaining, or point out what's wrong and then ask him to change, as opposed to everything's good and here's a little more. And, I need help me, without him being the problem. Those are the 2 themes we're looking at today. It was the first part of this book where I was looking at this. And I don't know if there's more questions, you can bring them up, but if they're not, I'll just continue on with my book today, which is, we all know, most people who study psychology, one of the basic things to learn is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now, since Maslow did the hierarchy of needs, there are all kinds of interpretations and a different variety of those different needs. Okay, here's a question. Okay, so since they don't pop up, do you recommend Tongkat Ali for preteens or teenage boys age 12, 13 to help with their testosterone? Is it safe for them? I can't say it's safe, but if I had a son who didn't have testosterone, I'd be giving it to him. It's a basic herb. It does help produce testosterone in males after puberty. I wouldn't do it before puberty. But at puberty, a boy's testosterone, once he starts getting 13 years old, he's starting to change. He's starting to get erections. If he doesn't have enough testosterone, it may be delayed puberty, but still, I'd wait for him to start making some changes as an adolescent. And then his testosterone levels, if he seems too sensitive, more moody, I'd give him Tongkat Ali without doubting. See, they haven't done research on that, but as far as I'm concerned, I would have no problem giving it to my son if he needed a boost of testosterone. In China, when boys have low testosterone, they actually give them testosterone. Something much better than giving somebody testosterone would be giving an herb that helps the body. What it does is the way it helps testosterone is it prevents the conversion of testosterone into estrogen. When a boy doesn't feel like enough masculine influence in his life, he doesn't feel confident, he's too bonded to his mother for protection. That's estrogen. And what's happening there when he's looking to his mother for protection at puberty, he can do that beforehand, it's fine, but he has to have this sense of identification, pulling away from depending on his mother for protection. So when he's bonded so much to the mother, or it could be he's bonding to the mother because the mother's depending too much on him. One of the themes is when the mother rejects the father and loves the father less than the son. Now the son feels more responsible for the mother. He bonds more with the mother, and she loves his son. But this is a kind of toxic love where she's getting off on the support the son gives her, as opposed to getting off meaning getting some value out of it from the husband. So in some cases, in a lot of cases, when the husband is not available to the mother, when the mother's not getting what she needs from the husband, she will love the boy more. And she will sort of get her need to feel loved through her son rather than through her husband. This is like child abuse to some extent. This is putting an undue pressure on that little boy, which will cause him to feel inadequate as a male and bond and become more like the mother. And his estrogen levels will go high. So what Tongkat Ali could help, it blocks the conversion of his testosterone into estrogen. Because a boy at puberty can have testosterone increases 10 to 20 times. As opposed to just suddenly go up, he's supposed to be getting erections all the time. And that's why boys wear their shirts out, wear their shirt out so you can't see he's had an erection around junior high school. That's when you start going from elementary school to junior high school as puberty. There is a surge of testosterone in boys, but it can be inhibited by a boy being too close to his mother. And what keeps a boy from being too close to his mother is, we should be close to our mothers without a doubt, but too close means she is not depending on a man to feel happy and loved. She's depending on caring for this little boy to feel happy and loved, and that little boy's love for her. It's just depending too much on that. We're always coming back to where is the balance place, and the balance place between the mother and son is always, you find balance when she's finding a major portion of her happiness in her life, not just from caring for this son and from her husband. Then she's not putting all her needs on this little boy to be good, to thrive, to be close to her, to need her. It could be whatever. Depending too much on the little boy is not healthy for him. And if she's not a happy woman, if she's stressed, she could be happy with her son, but she's stressed, the little boy is going to feel the pressure to make his mother happy, and that will make him feel inadequate. And then one of the major reasons why you'll have avoidant attachment in males with females is we don't want to get too close, because once we start to bond with a woman and we feel we're making her happy, then this fear comes up inside, which is, oh, I can't make her happy, and we pull back. That's also why it's hard for men to hear criticism and so forth, is that when the woman is unhappy with him, it triggers this feeling in his childhood where I can't make my mother happy. And it's not a conscious thing. It's just your mother's not happy. If you grow up with an unhappy mother, you're going to have a more avoidant male. And then there's also then the very natural tendency of men, when they do connect with women, their estrogen will go too high, and that will push their testosterone down, and they do need to pull away. So they're always going to need their cave time, the in and out. But when you have childhood issues, to various degrees we all do, particularly in modern society where divorce exists, then what you have is a greater, on the scale of avoidant attachment, you have a greater avoidant attachment, and you have men who have commitment problems and not willing to make a commitment. And that tendency creates kind of a vacuum where women want to fill it in and earn his love and get him to commit and so forth. And that just makes the problem worse. If you're giving more to a man than he's giving to you, you will get less. That's the universal law. Okay. If you give more to a man, so if you come to me and say, I'm giving more in the relationship, then you're causing him to give you less. That's always going to be the case. So how you find balance when this is happening is not pursuing a man, not going after a man, not trying to please a man, except in response to him pleasing you. But you can talk in a good way. You know, it's not like to talk in a kind, generous way. You're a people pleaser. No, you're a good communicator. So there's one thing which is being a good communicator, another thing which is being a people pleaser. Another word for people pleaser, if you're looking at it as a challenge attribute, it would be codependent. And codependent is so beautifully expressed. And I recommend all women read the book, No Codependent No More. It's a wonderful book. It was really helpful for me to read to understand women. You know, it was like trying to understand why women give so much and what's going on. Well, to simplify that book is to know what that word means, because it's just a word. It doesn't necessarily make sense by itself. But codependent is depending on your partner more than you depend on yourself. So codependent. So I'm not primarily depending on myself. I'm depending on them. And depending on your partner is really important as long as you're also depending on yourself in the right balance. Like you depend on God in the right balance. You know, we should always know grace is available to us. The universe is here to support us, but we have to take the action. God is here always supporting us, but we have to pray. You have to ask for help. It's in all the religions. I mean, take this into your mind. You have to ask for help. You have to trust that the help is there, and you have to take action as if it's not there. That's the whole idea when I say, don't just all depend on a man for feeling happy and fulfilled. You've got a whole life. He's dessert. He's the extra. He tops it off. So thank you for the question. So the idea of what, and what we're doing today, which is insanity, is, when I think about, you asked me the question about Tongkat Ali, oh my gosh, giving a child a herb, well, which hasn't been researched on teenagers, so I can't say that, but I could say I would do it. But what they're doing in standardized medicine is they're actually creating testosterone blockers, because if a boy wants to be a girl, he's already got too much estrogen, and now you're going to give him a testosterone blocker, so there'll be no conflict. So, I'm just going to be a girl, but my body is masculine. So they're giving all kinds of drugs, and they're doing that. So, oh my gosh, if you've got a little boy and he really is confused, one of the first things I would do on a supplement level is to provide Tongkat Ali. That was a really good idea. The other thing I would do is what my mother did, because I'm highly sensitive, very close to my mother. I guess I have this whole theory because I can relate to it to a great extent. Although I wasn't conscious of it all. But my mother, she saw as I went to puberty, she just started putting me in the hands of other men, because my dad was traveling a lot. And there's two, in psychiatry, there's two ideas of absent father would be directly linked to a criminal, because a criminal has no father role model of how to behave as a male, or absent father causes the mother to not be fulfilled by the father. And so the little boy goes into the role of trying to fulfill the mother, of not feeling good enough. And there is an amazing book, which helped me understand myself, because I was the pick of the litter, we'll say it like that. I got a lot more attention, evidently, from my mother than my brothers. They all pointed it out to me later in life. And there was a pressure on me I wasn't even aware of until I read this book called The Trauma of the Gifted Child. The Trauma of the Gifted Child. They have high expectations on themselves. And when a mother's loving one child, oh, wonderful child, oh, look good. There's all these expectations that you feel you have to live up to. And so you're constantly afraid, you have anxiety about not meeting those expectations. So that's a pressure. That's a big stress. That's interesting. I see that stress when I teach in China. Almost almost every Chinese person I process on stage. I'll do these classes and bring people up and I process their pain. I say, well, this goes back to, your childhood, not feeling loved and supported in the ways that you need from your parents. And they always was, oh, no, my parents were perfect. My parents were perfect. I say, yeah, I get that. They love you and so forth. But do you ever feel pressured in your life? Well, yeah. And did you have the feeling, I don't want to disappoint my parents? Well, yeah. I said, well, that's the pressure. You didn't want to disappoint your parents. That's an expectation you put on yourself. And it comes from the fact your parents wanted you to be the best. Now you feel I should be the best. And then that's a huge pressure and makes you feel inadequate. And feeling inadequate to do a job has a bigger blow on a male than a female, because it's our male side that, as a performer, has to be good enough to achieve. It's the female side is more of the, am I worthy? Do I deserve? Am I a good person? So anytime I fail, there's always, I did a job for somebody, it wasn't good enough. I would also feel I don't deserve to be paid. And I also feel like I don't deserve, and I wasn't good enough. So they do merge together. We have a male and a female side. But the big issue for males is always, am I getting messages that I'm good enough? Which is why for women to understand why complaining just destroys relationships. And every complaint is really a request, learning how to ask for what you want. And I always review, there's more subtleties to this, but if you're upset with your partner, it's not the time to ask what you want, because you're blaming them. You're already knocking down their motivation, and it will sound like criticism. But if you ask for more at a time when you're feeling good, because you've processed your complaints, learn how to process your complaints. And to do that, what helps is the Mars Venus app. It's like you get to express all your complaints, and then it will write an emotional letter for you and help you get in touch with what's really behind the emotions behind your complaint. Because whenever you are able to fully feel your emotions, and sometimes somebody just has to point them out, as a therapist, what I do, let me see what time it is. Oh my goodness, it's way over time. But as a therapist, I'll finish up now. So as a therapist, I do it differently. I haven't talked for a few minutes, and then I say, okay, now let's talk about your feelings. And it's very hard for them to even access their emotions. And so I'll just do it for them. I have them repeat the phrase, I'm frustrated because my husband's ignoring me. I feel hurt because I don't feel cherished. I feel afraid that he'll never do that. I feel guilty that, I'm rejecting him and judging him. That's a short version of a feeling letter, but I'll say it all for them. And they go, yes, that's just what I feel. Yes, that's just what I feel. But they couldn't come up with it on their own. So I created this app that will do just what I do in a counseling session. And then what I'll do is, if you look at childhood experiences, I'll have them, what do you need to hear from that parent? And then they'll start to, sometimes they go, I don't know. And then I'll say, well, this is what you needed to hear that you didn't hear. And I'll say those words and they'll start to cry. Is that we don't even know what we need to hear. And when you're upset with your partner, sometimes I'll say, well, what does your partner have to do or say so that you'll feel your heart open again? And they'll go, I don't know. So how can a man ever do anything for you if you don't even know what you need? How can he know what you need? So the app will show you what you need, and you'll get a chance to actually hear what you need to hear. It's all programmed in. It's just all logic. Actually, it's all logic. If you're feeling sad and lonely, you need somebody to say, I understand you're feeling sad and lonely. I understand you're feeling sad because you thought this person was going to do this for you and they didn't do it. You're feeling disappointed. And so now you're afraid that if you reach out, you won't get love and support. You're afraid that people won't like you or love you. It's all logical. But when the logic helps you to understand your emotions, then you can go, oh, that's an emotion I really feel. And if you go into, oh, that's an emotion I really feel that I wasn't aware of before, boom, dopamine goes up, estrogen goes up, you get transformation. Jung, a famous psychologist, said, the whole transformation process is to become aware of what's in your unconscious that you weren't aware of before. Just bringing the awareness to what you weren't aware of. People say, oh, I know I'm angry. Oh, I know I'm angry. Well, tell me a bit about why you're angry. Use the phrase, I feel angry because, and then do that. And then I'll say, now, are you realizing that you're only angry also because you're afraid? What? I'm not afraid. Yes, you are afraid of being wrong. You're afraid of being rejected. You're afraid of not being seen as brilliant and smart, whatever. There's always fear behind anger. There's always guilt behind sadness. There's always anger covering up guilt. these emotions are very much logically entwined. And once you start becoming aware of them, your brain can make sense of them. And then your brain can realize they're irrational and look at the situation rationally and put you in present time. And then you feel better. All that through using the Mars Venus Heart Space app. So thanks for listening to me today. Thanks for all the questions. And I'll look forward to 2 days. On Thursday, I'll be giving a whole presentation, and any questions you might have, you can send in, which will help guide me to what you want me to talk about on Thursday. So you can still put your questions in. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a happy day. Check out Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus for women only. It's now available this week. And I think there's some discounts if you go to Amazon. For the electronic version, for the e-version. Kindle version is still probably discounted, so you can get a discount there. But once you have your discounted book, you're going to want to actually have the book. You know, when you really use a book, you read it 10 times. You know, you underline stuff, you look at it, and that's why the hardback is really good for that. So enjoy the book. It's in hardback, it's in paperback, it's also in Kindle. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a great day.
Thank you for watching Q&A with Dr. Gray. Please share this out with all of your friends and family across all social media platforms. And be sure to tune in every Tuesday at 11 a.m. PST and 2 p.m. EST.